Congratulations, you or maybe your child or student or whatever has decided to go ahead and get a cool clarinet. First one, in fact. And that means we're going to be looking at nice student model ones that are going to be playing over a long period of time. So today we're going to be talking about all the different brands that we recommend here at Alamo Music and the ones that will work best for you for the longest period of time. Stick around. Howdy everybody, my name is Andrew King. We are here at Alamo Music. Don't forget to visit us at alamomusic.com where we have all the instruments I'm going to be talking about today available and for you to purchase or rent. So today we're going to be talking about clarinets. Specifically, we're going to be talking about student model ones that are going to be used for students, say getting into 6th grade, maybe if you're going to be like retiring and you want to get back into clarinet, or it's just something you want to get into and you just don't know which one to get. Well, I'm going to make it so you can easily make a good decision that's going to last you a long time, and it's not going to get in the way of you learning on the clarinet. It's very important about the quality of the instrument that you get to the basically how you learn on it. If you get an instrument of poor quality that breaks easily over a long period of time, what ends up happening is that you don't know if it's the instrument or it's yourself making mistakes, and that means overcompensating and learning bad habits over a long period of time. So it's always recommended to get something that's from a reputable brand that is going to be used over a long period of time that you can also get fixed easily in case, you know, a kid breaks it, maybe you drop it on accident, all kinds of things. So you make sure that the instrument's going to be reliable. Reliable instruments are very important, especially in the student genre of instruments, right? You want to get one that's going to be playing for a long period of time, easily repairable, and you want to make sure it works well. So with that being said, let's go over some brands that are going to be good for you in that case. The top ones that I'm going to talk about is definitely going to be among Yamaha and Buffet. These are fantastic instruments that have been around for a long time. Speaking from personal experience here in San Antonio, we have large school districts, and all of the school districts and schools, middle schools, even high schools, all recommend getting these pretty much at the top of every list. Yamaha is just very well known for their quality control and for instruments just being there available all the time. Yamaha clarinets in particular come in two different models. You can either get one in the plastic version or you can get one in the wood version, which is usually going to be in the granadilla wood, and it's always recommended to go for the wood one overall. The reason being it just has a better tone quality and it lasts a long time as well. That doesn't mean to knock over the plastic one. I think that the plastic clarinets are very good in the use case of any kind of like adult wanting to get into it, or any kind of like if you're just retiring and don't want to spend too much on a clarinet. It's easily almost like half the cost most of the time, so it's a lot easier to get into. With that being said, the other one is the Buffet clarinet. Most notably known for their R13 professional models, but the E11 series in particular from Buffet is a staple of most school programs. These instruments are always very reliable, easy to get parts once again, and they play for a really long time. Plus, they have a cool case in my opinion. I like their cases, they're really neat. The Buffet in particular is just a very well-known clarinet brand in general. I think that between the YCL 450N, which is the nickel-plated version key of that one, and the Buffet E11, both of these are fantastic instruments over a long period of time. Now, with that being said, these are also the ones that are at the top of the market when it comes to these kinds of instruments, and with that it comes a kind of a higher price tag. And for some people, that's just a little harder to get into. While you are paying for that premium quality and that kind of premium service as far as those instruments go, sometimes it's just not something you can get into. With that being said, there's some other brands that we can recommend that are going to be just as good in my opinion, and also you don't have to worry about as much of the cost. Now, before I go on with these other brands, most schools are going to recommend Yamaha and Buffet, no matter what. I do recommend though, if your teacher or maybe you're getting the 6th grade list does recommend a certain kind of clarinet, always follow that first. The teachers know what they're doing, they're picking instruments for a good cause, and it's something that's going to be reliable for a long period of time. So you don't want to kind of go against that. Now that being said though, some of these instruments going forward are instruments that we do have available here at Alamo Music that work just as well in our opinion, but if they're not on the school list, I do recommend just going with that 6th grade supply sheet most of all. That being said, the next one I'm going to definitely recommend is going to be the Jupiter clarinets, the wooden clarinets, And I also very much recommend the Selmer clarinets as well. Both of these are fantastic brands. They're just not as expensive. Selmer is more known for their saxophones for sure, and Jupiter is definitely a really good brass maker. But both of these have a foray in the student model line of different instruments, and they're both available here at Alamo Music. Both of these instruments are fantastic. Very good use cases. They last a long time. Parts are also very easily available to most repair shops in the country, so you don't really have a bad decision going forward to either of them. And they're a lower price. They just don't have as much of the market as far as like mass availability or recommendations for a lot of schools, and it's no fault to the quality of the instruments. Both of these work very well, and in most cases just as well as the Yamaha or the Buffet, and it's very easy to recommend. That being said, say you kind of just want to get into it. Maybe you're not a sixth grader, right? You're just retiring, or you're an adult wanting to get into a different instrument. It is easy to also go for any other kind of the brands, any of the internet brands, right? We're going to go to Amazon, look up a clarinet, and we're going to see a bunch of them. You're going to see your Cecilio, your Mendinis, maybe your Bandstar, like the E-Star ones and stuff. And they're going to be really inexpensive. Those instruments look awesome. They come with a bunch of stuff. They come with like a glove, a bunch of reeds, maybe even a little neck strap or something like that for a clarinet. And it's going to be just super accessible. I think these are fantastic instruments for the most part for anyone wanting to get into it, but I don't think they're very good use cases for any kind of long-lasting play. The reason being is that most of the time with these kind of instruments, the metal that they use is going to be a lot more fragile, and in most cases, repair shops are just not going to want to repair them because the parts themselves will not be available. Now, the reason I say that's pretty much a good idea to go for it if you don't know if you're wanting to get into it is because, well, the fact is most clarinets are pretty expensive. You can be spending up to $750 to maybe even like $2,000 on certain models, and it just doesn't make sense in the long term. But if you're just wanting to get into it, say you want to see if you like the clarinet and try to learn on it, I think any of those instruments are a good choice in the short term. Say you're like an adult wanting to get into it, or maybe you're just retiring, all that kind of thing. Those instruments work great for those use cases. And then you just take that and then invest yourself in another one if you know you like it. The only thing is that because of the unavailability of repair on these instruments, it's very important to take special care of these over if you're going to be using it over like a year. Most of the time, even on the higher brand, the higher level branded instruments, it's usually about every year, 6 months to every year, that you need to bring the instrument into the shop just to get adjusted. It's kind of like a car. Most of the parts are going to be moving a lot, meaning that there's going to be wear and tear over a long period of time. Even if you never drop it, even if you take super special care of it, just the act of playing these instruments is going to be something that takes the instrument down as far as quality goes. So that being said, that's why it's usually recommended to go with, say, these Yamaha Buffets, Jupiters, Selmers, because those instruments are going to be really good for a long period of time rather than just a short burst. So all that being said, I do very much recommend, if you're going to be going in for it the long term, totally go with the ones that I listed in the beginning of the video. They're fantastic instruments, reliable, they work over a long period of time, and especially if you're have a student or you are the student in 6th grade going further, these are instruments that easily go into high school even if you graduate. Now, if you're going to be like a music major or you want to be a professional musician or anything like that, that's when you're wanting to go into the more professional models. But in these cases, with just beginning and seeing if you want to get into it, I think these are fantastic representations of instruments that have large amounts of quality, large amounts of sustainability, and sound good over a long period of time. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to get down in the comments if say you've already played the clarinet or you're getting into it. What are you most excited about with band? Personally, I think the camaraderie aspect of everything is kind of my favorite part, just the friends you make along the way, you know? So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.